What up, what up, what up? Hello and welcome everyone to this 41st episode of the Backwards K Baseball Podcast. I am your host, Chris Asbrock, and I am joined each and every episode by my co-host, Scott Kaiser. Scott, how you doing, buddy?
It is Reds versus Braves week, baby. I'm doing swell.
Yes, it is. And I got my eye watching because literally right as we were getting ready to go on the air, Tyler Callahan on a ball hit from Matt Olson just went hard into the wall on his third career start in the majors for Callahan. It looks like it, I don't know, his arm/wrist looked a little messed up. So hopefully it's not bad. But man, great,
sounded like a bummer because I'm blacked out because Major League Baseball is fantastic and they want to share the love and spread the game to everybody, so they make it so that you can't watch your teams when they're in your market.
That's the beauty of baseball. And did they call that they called that a fair ball? Could you hear? Are you listening to it or?
Yes, I heard the collision, and then I heard as the Braves ran around the bases while everything was going on, and then I heard the review, and then the show started.
What did they say? Could you tell me what they said on the review?
No, I didn't. Once they were going to the review.
Okay, because they just came out. It's now 4-0 Braves right now, but Tito is looking all confused because he caught the ball, and this is like if you guys are. I mean, obviously you guys aren't able to. To see it or anything like that. But as he's diving in, Callahan catches it and crashes into the wall, and he's got the ball. And as he's going down, the ball comes out as he takes his glove and throws it, and he's gripping at his forearm, and it allowed 2 runs to score, and that's what I was confused about. If you had heard, Scott, what they had said, I mean, this is pretty crazy. And I guess after review, they were saying that it was. I don't know. It's one of those gray areas to where, did you catch it? Did he keep it all the way through? But who knows, man? It was hell of a play by a young kid crashing right in the wall. Man, it's crazy. But hey, that's baseball for you, unfortunately. So hopefully all the best to Tyler Callahan after that play. So, man.
Well, rough way to start the series, but the Braves have the lead, so I'll take it. Hope Callahan's all right, though. Anyway, we've got a great show for you guys. We're going to talk some more, preview some more Reds, Braves, talk about the debut of another Red just this last week. We're also going to talk about how we, yes, oof is a word for it. There's MLB news and notes to get caught up, and we're going to talk about the month that was April and if there's anything that surprised us or any teams that we feel like maybe separated themselves or going to make moves. But let's go on ahead and start with the debuts. It's been a season, as we've talked about before, many debuts by many guys, either right out of college or, just a few years removed from college. Debuts in Major League Baseball no longer take 4, 5, 6 years before, after getting drafted to getting to the majors. And in the case of a couple of guys this past week, it was due to injury. Unfortunately, both the Reds and Royals found themselves in situations where they needed starters. The Reds had a double header that necessitated the call up. The Royals, with their debut pitcher, were dealing with an injury to starter Cole Reagans. Forced their hand on both of them. Both players were immediately sent down after their debuts, but we saw glimpses of what could be very promising futures from both of them, despite one of them struggling much more so than the other. Let's go on ahead and talk about the Red first, Chris, and get that out of the way because he was not quite as good as the other debut. That would be Chase Petty, who made his major league debut. As I mentioned, didn't really go as planned. He lasted just 2 1/3 of an inning, got charged with 9 runs on 7 hits, 2 walks. He did punch out 3. Two homers were amongst the 4 hits. So very forgettable first start results wise, but he did display many of the traits that got him drafted, as well as reasons why Reds fans are excited to see him soon, not too soon. He's got to work on some things, but again, displayed some things that made it obvious why he was drafted so early and why Reds fans are excited. So talk to us about what you saw from one Chase Petty in his debut.
Well, he got his tits lit up, and that was the worst part about it. I mean, dude's got a 34.71 ERA, 2 1/3. That's tough. But again, debut, the nerves are a little high, but it's a debut. I mean, I'm not gonna sit there and freak out over that. I mean, he in the post gamer, he was basically saying that he was making pitches that basically could get other minor leaguers out, but major leaguers, it's a whole different ball game. So he's got the right mind, the right mindset through it all, and that's what to me, that's what matters most. The beauty of baseball is you have to just be able to shake it off. There's going to be games to where you have it, and there's going to be games where you don't. That's baseball, and the good players are the ones that are able to shake it off and say, all right, that wasn't it. He knows he can be better, but he got ambushed. I want to say Contreras took him deep in the first inning, and it was like, I want to say it was like a 2 or 3 run shot to start off in the first, and it was like, well, this is tough. And I want to say it was the first batter he faced also gave up a home run off. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head here. Yeah, very forgettable debut for Chase Petty, but again, there's a reason the Reds traded for him. He was a 26 overall pick out of high school in 2021. The kid's got a live arm. Again, I'm not too concerned about it. He's in the right organization. The Reds, they've got some solid pitchers, in this, basically in this organization. He's in a good group. So the key is just, you got sent back down. There you go. Now you can just kind of, take a deep breath, work on exactly, what you saw, against that Cardinals lineup. And again, go back to the drawing board and get everything figured out and come back. And next time you come back, then deal. But yeah, it's, sometimes debuts don't go like a Paul Skeens debut. Sometimes they go quite the opposite. And that was the one, unfortunately, for Chase Petty this past weekend. So it is what it is.
Well, and the good news is, you mentioned that Contreras there, and if I didn't mention, neither of us did, that they were playing against the Cardinals in this game, and that's a team that obviously the Reds are very familiar with, a lot of bad blood between the two. He will get plenty of chances as long as he is part of this Reds organization to get revenge on the Redbirds after they took advantage of him in this debut. Like I said, not much to glean from it, but he did show flashes, and the numbers looked good as far as on his pitches and whatnot. It was clear that his secondaries need work. He's a big fastball guy, so that looked all right. But as most minor leaguers do, and especially one who was forced into this start, like in a perfect world, the Reds wouldn't have needed him, but they needed a starter. And because of injuries to some of their other depth pieces and it being not turns for other guys, it just kind of, he kind of just drew the short straw, if you want to put it like that. In the case of, he wasn't necessarily prepared for it or ready, but hey, sometimes when you get the major league call, it's not like everybody where you're anticipating it. Sometimes it happens to just be a rain, a doubleheader or an injury thing, and it kind of comes out of nowhere. So, he did the best he could, and bright days ahead though for one Chase Petty.
I mean, he wasn't necessarily tearing it up in AAA either with Louisville so far, man. So that's
Right.
you
Yeah.
know,
That's what I'm saying. It's like he was pressed into surface. This wasn't like
yeah,
anything anybody was anticipating or that he's knocked the door. I personally remember getting the text that he was going to be called up by the Reds and thought,
yeah,
oh, I wasn't expecting that. Like,
yeah. I wouldn't either.
It was very unexpected that was the case, but it's still interesting to see because, hey, look, at some point the kids got to play. In general, not him, but the kids have to play
Exactly,
at the major league level to see what they've got or whatever. And again, sometimes it's on a schedule and it's predictive and they're rocking and rolling, and it's just a matter of time. You're anticipating it. And other times you just get a random text on a Tuesday that a guy's going to start, and you had no idea. But
bingo.
And I'm sure Francona said that he was jacked up and he looked like he was ready to run through a wall before the game. You mentioned it. Major league debuts, it's especially for pitchers, such a difficult thing to do, to get out there and all the nerves, all the excitement of your first start and all that. Like I can only imagine what it's like to be out there and then to have to go out there and perform in front of the most people that you've ever performed in front of. Just wild stuff. But more often than not, let's just say that pitchers debut like this. They are not. What? No, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say. I mean, MLB debuts overall, it's a crapshoot. I mean, literally, it's not. I don't put much stock into them at all. Because again, they could be fantastic, and then you see, we saw Jackson Holiday last year. Start off and he struggled, and then ends up getting sent back down, and then it is what it is. It's just these guys. Jack Leiter, Jack Leiter was one that he, again. It's what can you do, the next time you're up. Yeah, there you go. There you go. But it's overall, like, again, how you rebound and just, working on what you need to. And that's really what it comes down to. Because the good ones, they come back and, they learn. So
yeah, and I mean, and it's much more typical to have a debut like this than the next guy that we're going to talk about, which is Noah Cameron from the Royals. Noah Cameron from the Royals took the conventional wisdom of struggling in your major league debut on the mound and spit on it. In fact, he took a no-hitter. He took a no-hitter into the seventh inning of his debut. They ended up winning 3-0 over the Rays on the road, no less. So he went into the seventh inning, and his line ended up finishing as 6.1 innings pitched, 1 hit allowed, no runs, 5 walks, and 3 strikeouts. So it wasn't all roses. I mean, you're not exactly looking to go out there and walk the world. 5 walks is quite a high number. But if you're only giving up 1 hit through those 6 innings, then you can live with it. It ends up being
exactly
a whip of 1, and there's no reason to downplay it at all. It was a fantastic major league debut. Again, he was sent right down too, so regardless of the fact that he performed like a seasoned vet, unexpected start just to fill in for Cole Reagans and keep the rotation in order. Saw a lot of good things. He does not possess the same big fastball that Chase Petty is known for. He's much more of a control guy, has a very nice changeup, sits more like 92, 93. It'd be interesting to see how the rest of his career plays out. He's not as highly touted of a prospect, but hey, can't argue with the results. And it's not, like we mentioned, it's not exactly easy to just strut into the major leagues and take a no-hitter into the 7th inning in your debut.
Yeah, that's, it must be nice. It's one of those things. But it's, it's one of those situations to where, I think that is probably the best, the best situation for a pitcher is when you have no idea it's coming. And it's, hey, we need you. You're going to start. Like, oh, shit, okay. And then you don't have time to dwell on it. And that is, and they say, from what I've heard over last, I would say probably last 5-6 years or so, you've heard other, analysts and everything like that who have actually played the game. that have said, when you don't have that time to prepare and it's just thrust upon you, then there you go. It's a lot easier to handle. And that very well could have been the situation for Noah Cameron compared to Chase Petty, because we knew Petty was getting a call up, a day or two prior. So, that gives him a chance to think about it and everything like that, as compared to Cameron, who he came out there and he shoved against the Rays. So yeah, it's going to be, again, then you get sent back down. It's kind of like, well, okay, the key is how do each one of these guys, how do they handle it now? Back down in AAA, AA, wherever each player ends up. For the most part, it's AAA usually. So, but it's how these guys respond and building off of that starter, that debut, and working on what they have to work on. That's what it comes down to when they, so when they come back up, they can continue to roll with what got them there originally. So, yeah, two completely different debuts, but still two promising arms, man. That's the beauty of baseball, is we've got, again, so much young talent that's here and so much young talent that's it's on its way up here. So, continue to enjoy.
Yeah, and to add to the uniqueness of Cameron, he grew up in Kansas City.
That's right. Yeah,
he was a lifelong Kansas City fan. His parents raised him as a Royals fan. So not only did he get to make his major league debut, he got to be for the team that he grew up watching. I can't imagine what that was like. But as good as this start went, still a lot of things to work on. I could be able to succeed at many levels, walking 5 guys, in a game. Like I said, at any point, at any level of baseball. So he's got to clean that up. But it probably benefited him too to have that start on the road. Being in Kansas City at Kauffman Stadium probably ease things up for him a little bit. I'm not going to say that the results would have been, completely different, or similar to Petty's, but I have a feeling they would have been closer to Petty's than they were had that game been at Kauffman Stadium. Just the emotion and the adrenaline and all of that, I think might have taken us. So we look forward to seeing when Cameron does make that debut at Kauffman Stadium, to see if, who knows how many starts he gets between now and then at the major league level. Maybe the next time he starts, that's where he pitches. But, it'll be interesting to see how he fares there versus just that one. But of course, you do have, it's like, we talk about how hard it is to debut and all that. You do have the benefit of unfamiliarity when you come up as a pitcher. Like, these guys don't have a book on you. There's no scouting report. They have just whatever they can get their hands on. There's a lot more video and stuff like that now that they can watch, but there's nothing like actually standing there. And so sometimes pitchers do have that advantage of seeing. Now that advantage goes away, a couple times through the order, or just even one time once you get in a bat against a guy, you kind of have an idea. But that does, lend itself to starters sometimes having that success at the major league level in their debuts, because there's no book on them and guys haven't seen them. So maybe that was at play here. Maybe it was that the Rays just are really terrible at hitting left-handers and this was destined to be. Probably a combination of both, but congratulations to both Petty and Noah for making their dream come true. Even if you have a horrible debut, like in the case of Petty, or if you're, basking in the glow of taking a no-hitter in the 7th, like, making the major leagues is a special moment no matter what. So, congratulations to them both. And we will watch both of their young careers with much promise.
I was going to say, regardless of what happens with their careers, they will forever be known as a big leaguer.
Yes,
you can't take that away.
And neither one of them is going to forget their major league debut.
Exactly.
For different reasons, for sure. But like, both of them is going to have a story to tell. That's for sure.
No doubt.
So good to see it. And again, the influx of talent, just out of college or shortly out of college, these two just drafted within the last couple of years. It leaves the game in a good spot. So hopefully now we wish them success and health.
Yeah,
hopefully,
Jesus.
hopefully, their careers aren't set back by injury, and they can just focus on getting better because of the talent that they have. So,
No doubt. Yep.
moving on to the other big story of the week. Well, before we get to discussing the one, let's talk about what happened over the weekend. We talk a lot about injuries and how last season was such a disaster on that front. Well, we were dealt another blow this weekend. Tristan Casas, first baseman for the Boston Red Sox, went down hard when he stepped awkwardly on first base. It knew almost immediately. I thought when I got the notification and saw the replay that it looked like he tore his ACL. Turned out he ruptured his left patellar tendon. He has already had surgery and is done for the year. Huge blow to the Red Sox. He had started off slowly this year, and it was kind of rough because last year he, started slowly as well, but then tore, cartilage in his rib and missed a good chunk of the season. Did not end up coming back until about a month and a half to go. Spent a good portion of the season on IL. Was very frustrated. And, was hoping to put that behind him, worked really hard to get ready for this season, and now this happens, and he will miss the rest of the year. Huge bummer. I am a very big Casas fan. For those of you who have watched The Clubhouse on Netflix, it's the comparable baseball version of Hard Knocks that Netflix just did the first ever season of. And Tristan Casas was a standout for me. I love that dude. He's got a great personality, really interesting guy, really unique guy. And it sucks to see him have his season ended like this because by all accounts and just by watching him on the show, you get the idea that he's a pretty good guy and loves the game and wants to do well. And it sucks to see this for him. So,
yeah, it's a shame, man. It's another injury, man, to another, solid player, man.
Yeah, another guy that's working on up and coming. He kind of had a little bit of a breakout 2 years ago in the second half of the season. Really started. It was coming into last year that everybody thought that he was going to become the superstar that people had predicted that he would.
Yeah,
he's a very highly touted prospect. 5 years ago or so, whatever. Like he was one of those names that you heard about coming.
Yes,
just in the game
all the way through. Oh yeah,
right. And so very highly anticipated prospect, and has struggled to get going and sustain success at the major league level. But there's been flashes, and you've seen what he's capable of. Hadn't been able to put it together for a full season, both due to injury and just underperformance. And now we'll have to wait until next year. I don't know what the time frame is on this. I don't know. I didn't see if he's going to be ready for the start of next season or how much this will affect his readiness for next season. But I'd imagine that there'll be some type of some type of delay. I can't imagine that off this type of surgery. It's the same knee he's also had surgery on before, so that's also less than ideal. When it comes to these type of things. Like I did hear somebody say that this could affect the shape of his whole career, a knee that he's now had surgery on twice, and clearly the structure of that knee is not not 100%. So unfortunate, I guess, is just the best way to kind of put it. Did you find anything about
it? Just, I mean, a lot of it, they're just saying likely season's likely over, and I'm like,
yeah. Well, and I guess that's the only thing that I've seen too as a time frame.
Yeah.
So that suggests to me that if it says it's likely over, that means that there's an outside chance that he could have played some more this season. So that makes me think that being this early, that it won't affect next year, and he should be able to get in a full recovery. It's just going to be a lot of rehab and stuff throughout the season. So, I mean, hopefully he's at 100% and ready to go, coming out of spring training next year.
Yeah. Cora said he did an outstanding job in the offseason to put himself in that situation, basically coming back from, the cartilage, like you had mentioned, his rib cage. Didn't start the way he wanted to. Cora said of Cass's struggles, he was going to play a lot, and now we've got the focus on the rehab after the surgery, and hopefully get him back stronger than ever and ready to go next year. So, I mean, he was just batting 182 with 3 home runs and 11 RBIs. I didn't realize he was struggling that bad, but man.
Yeah, no, this season had been a rough go to start. I mean, there were, and you know how unforgiving they are in Boston. A lot of clamoring for the next man up, a lot of people wanting him traded, whatever. And them, of course, having Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer sitting there in minor leagues still, and the immediate impact of Christian Campbell starting off as a rookie out of the gates. There's people that wanted Casas, done. Unironically enough, he had just started getting going. Like as this happened, he had kind of just started to pull himself out of it and find himself at the plate. And then, of course, this goes down and wrecks that all. So
never fails, man.
Yeah, it really doesn't.
Never fails.
It sucks to hear. And like I said, by all accounts, great guy, really good personality, fun interview. I've seen a lot of interviews when, like last season, he did a lot of interviews when he was out injured, and they would do the in-game interviews, which those are more of my preferred way of watching in-game interviews, is when they're interviewing guys that aren't playing in the game. Like, I understand that it's a unique, but I'm not a huge fan of the in-game interview with a guy on the field in baseball. It just
you don't like that?
It doesn't work for me. Like, I mean, maybe the outfielders, but I just feel like the infielders, there's just so many things going on. Like, I guess like maybe a guy like when they do it when a guy's running the bases or something. I just feel like there's this concentration level that you need that trying to conduct an interview while you're playing a game is just it blows my mind. Like,
true, I'll give you that one.
Yeah, I have trouble walking and chewing bubble gum, so maybe it's just me.
Don't sell yourself short, man. It's okay.
But anyway, yeah, like I said, big personality, fun one to watch, and it sucks that we will be deprived of Tristan Casas till at the beginning of next year.
Yeah, that's tough. I was just looking at that article, ESPN article. So right now, I mean, their options are Abraham Toro and Romy Gonzalez. So not righties. That's it.
Yeah, there's not many options there, and with before the Bregman trade or before everything came finalized with Bregman, there was the talk that maybe they'd move Rafael Devers over to first. He's very hesitant to do that. Doesn't want to really play first. A lot of resistance there. And despite what everybody thinks, it's not as if you can just on the fly play any position in Major League Baseball and like just assume that everybody can be dumped on first and play it well.
Yeah, it's not how it works.
Right. And so, the immediate response to this was, oh, well, this is going to get Roman Anthony up. Just throw Devers over on first. And it's like, no, that's not how that goes. Like, Devers already said he really doesn't want to play. He wants to stay at third baseman. And, they've been doing the third base DH thing with Bregman. And it just, you already had that thing. Devers has gotten going. Not the answer. So they're faced with middling options to replace Casas. I'd imagine if things go the way that the Red Sox hope that they go through the rest of the season, that's a place that they'll be looking to improve come the trade deadline. The good news is, the good news is that replacing first base when you're talking about going out on the trade market or whatever, not the most difficult thing to do. Hard to teach somebody to play first base on the fly, not hard to replace out on the open market. So
exactly.
It is something that you can find somebody relatively easy.
Yeah, Cora said there's no plans to move Rafael Devers. And then Craig Breslow said the team might be exploring a long-term replacement. So this is unfortunately an opportunity to explore what's available. We'll look both internally and outside as well. I can't imagine that they will look, or be too, I can't imagine they're just going to stand pat. I can't. I mean, they're right now they're sitting at 500, 2 games back of the Yankees. I mean, you're right there.
Well, and it's early enough in this season that there isn't they're not at a crossroads. They'll
exactly
more or less the whole season is in front of them for all intents and purposes.
Exactly, so, but it could quickly slip away.
Sure,
if, that's the worst part about it is how quickly it can turn.
Well, I mean, not the best news in the world, but the silver lining is that you were kind of winning and doing things despite Casas when he was in there. He was struggling.
True.
So it's not like you're so anything that you go get, assuming that they produce at a high level than Casas was, it's kind of a net gain, which it sucks to say, but just the way he had been playing now, who's to say how well he would have played through this whole season? And obviously the Red Sox have had expectations that he was going to break out and just be that consistent 30 home run, 100 RBI first baseman that you just kind of set and forget. Maybe he was going, maybe that was his destiny this year and they'll be deprived of that. And that production is not easy to replace, but the production that he had displayed over the first month, very replacement.
Yeah,
very easily replaceable. So they may even gain a boost, depending on who they bring in. So tough blow for the Red Sox, but a good timing if you're worried about contending and making sure that you're able to replace the production that you would have gotten from Casas. So
exactly. Yep.
Moving on to the other interesting thing that happened in the news just from the league yesterday, getting a text that the Texas Rangers had fired their offensive coordinator, which made me pause because I wasn't aware that offensive coordinator was a role on many staffs in Major League Baseball. That's not something that you hear all day, but the Rangers dismissed offensive coordinator Donnie Ecker on Sunday night. This is not something that happens very often. Bruce Bochy has had a long, decorated managerial career, and he does not often in season fire any of his coaches. So a little bit surprising from that front, but also because Ecker was the one that was in front of leading this offense when they won the World Series.
Yeah.
But the numbers have gone down every year since. And this year, you want to talk about struggle. The Texas Rangers have looked really bad on offense. And you can't blame it all on health or anything. They just have seemed they have a mix of old and young, so it's not like you could just say, well, they got old overnight, but it feels like they got old overnight just the way they're producing. I mean, 25th in the majors in slugging, 26th in batting average, and this is after yesterday's game on Sunday, coming into today, 26th in batting average, 28th in on-base percentage, 29th in runs scored, and 29th in walk rate. So there's only 30 teams in Major League Baseball. As you can see, they were almost dead last in a couple of those categories. I mean, most importantly, being runs scored at just 113 runs. I mean, the year they won the World Series and leading up to it, prior to winning the World Series, this Texas offense was a force, like just a machine. 1 through 9. Everybody was just mashing, and it's like somebody flipped a switch. A lot of the same guys, age does play a factor in some of their cases. They've dealt with a few injuries, but not many. It's just a lot of underperformance, which is, I'm guessing, what they ultimately made this decision to move on from the offensive coordinator Ecker, but it's weird that this group of guys is all of a sudden just kind of forgotten how to hit.
Yeah, that's kind of shocking. Like you had mentioned, I mean, just where they stand statistically throughout the league is pretty. I mean, it's brutal. And I mean, for a team like you said that is, supposedly, has all this, talent that we have seen, produced previously, man, they're picking a bad time to really struggle. And it's, right now they're in 4th place in the division. They're 4 games back of the Mariners. It's one of those situations to where, like we talk about, the season could slip away pretty quick. And that's one thing, I think that's part of it here is, when the production continues to, when you're at the height of the game and you win the World Series, and then offensive production continues to fall off, year after year after that, something's got to be done. And unfortunately for Donnie Ecker, that his job was the one to to be axed on that. But it's there's too much talent on this team for them to be struggling as bad as they are. When you've got the just the names alone of some of these guys, no reason they should be in the position they are. But yeah, that's like I said, when you're 17 and 18, you're a game under 500, 4 games back. In a division where it's tight. I mean, first to fifth, separated by 7 games, and with the Mariners leading the division, the Mariners have gone on an absolute tear the last 10 games. 8-2. You got a lot of catching up to do. So yeah, I mean, it was a move that had to be made. I think if you really want to try and turn it around quickly, and just get a different voice in the in the clubhouse. Offensive wise, had to be made. But yeah, Brett Boone, who played for Bruce Bochy 1 year when he was in San Diego, kind of an interesting name to bring in. But we'll see how it goes. But yeah, it shocked me. I mean, when you told me about it, I was kind of I remember I asked you, I said, "Man, when did that happen?" Because I missed it. So,
and that's right. Yeah, you mentioned it that the replacement now is a name that you and I are both familiar with from his playing days, having played for both of our teams in his career, and that's Brett Boone. Originally a Cincinnati Red, then the Braves signed him as a free agent. I believe he only played 1 year in Atlanta, maybe 2. It was a short-lived tenure before moving on to San Diego and Seattle. Played for Bruce Bochy when he was in San Diego for the 1 year. Familiar with it. Has no coaching experience. This is his first time. They just signed him through the rest of the season, and then we'll reevaluate it. I guess it can't be any worse, right? Like
exactly.
There's nothing that Brett Boone can come in here and make this offense worse because they're at the bottom of almost everything that matters. So from that aspect, maybe they did need to just shake things up. Maybe
that's what I'm saying, a different voice.
Right. Yeah. Maybe the voice is what they needed, and this offense will get going. I mean, and maybe it was just a slow April start, but like you said, the downward trend of 3 years is kind of hard to ignore. And when you come out and you're this abysmal with this much talent and an offense that, again, it has shown that it can be world beating at times, for it just to struggle this much for this long, it definitely needed to happen. Now, whether or not Brett Boone is the right answer for the job, I can't really say that. I personally am not a huge Brett Boone guy, and that is mostly stems from the fact that for his time in Atlanta was very disappointing, but made even more disappointing by the fact that I think it was almost right after he left, if I'm not mistaken, but he was on that Seattle team in 2001 that won 111 games, and he hit 40 some home runs, which mysteriously he had never done at any other point in his career. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, and most people are, that if you look at the career of Brett Boone, there's a couple of outlier years towards the end of his career in terms of number of home runs. He was always a 20 home run guy, and the era that he played baseball in suggests that he may not have done the 40 home run season all natural that late in his career.
That's a damn shame you're making these accusations on this podcast right now.
Well, it's also the fact that everything was going out there on the West Coast, and he got out to Seattle and got jacked. I mean, Brett Boone, you've seen his brother coaching.
Maybe he's just
slight guys, and he went out to Seattle and just became a brick shit house.
Dude, maybe he was just seeing the ball better. That's all.
Yeah, his arms are seeing the ball better.
I can't do this with a straight face. I can't. I'm trying, but I can't, man.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not a huge Brett Boone guy because, like I said, I think that weirdly enough, his name never came up.
I was going to say it was never mentioned.
Yeah, he was just one of those guys that you're like, well, he has to because of the spike and because of like physically, he just looked different. But he was never like his name never got associated. Really
Not
weird.
one time, which is insane. Yeah.
Maybe he'll be able to tell the guys. Maybe he'll be able to share
how
he
assholes like you.
And maybe he'll be able to share with the Rangers how he beats the system. Maybe that's what they brought him in for.
Hey, you know what?
Hey, how'd you do that? Hide what you're doing?
Yeah, how'd you get that going? How'd you get that going? But in all seriousness, like I was looking at the article on ESPN about it. I mean, the Rangers led the AL during their championship season, hitting .263 with 5.4 runs per game before slipping to batting .238 and 4.2 runs last year.
Oof.
Now, .228 and have scored no more than 2 runs in 9 of their last 12 games. I mean, that's pretty.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, it's
a
lot of the
Boone
same
biceps, man. It's Boone biceps time, baby.
I mean, if the Rangers mysteriously start jacking home runs, then something needs to be investigating.
I'm gonna shit.
Like on the day that Rhett Boone takes over, if they just start mashing taters, the Major League Baseball needs to come in and investigate. So
I will die.
Like there needs to be 26 piss tests sent to Texas immediately. If they just start raking.
Adolis Garcia's hitting 700-foot bombs. Like, oh
yeah. Everybody just finds
out though.
Everybody finds the fountain of youth.
Hey, you know what? Maybe that's what it comes down to. Maybe they're seeing the ball better. That could be it.
It could be. Could just be natural.
Exactly. He worked out. 8-9 hours a day at the gym. And it was just seeing the ball really well.
Maybe they were born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline. Who knows? I don't know.
Maybe. I'm stunned that you would just levy those accusations upon me on this show. Unbelievable.
This podcast is the only one that's questioned it since 2001. Whether or not
I was going to say, no other podcasts I've heard have ever said anything until now.
Oh man! Well, that will transition us into our final topic.
Oh shit, that's funny.
Which is just to discuss how things stand across the league. We've talked a good bit about the Rangers and how they've struggled. They're definitely one of the disappointments. We should talk about the Reds and Braves, which we do a lot. They are playing right now. They have a series through this week, just 3 games. Unfortunately, the way the schedule goes now, they usually only get the one home and home series. So this is the home series down in Atlanta for the Reds and Braves, and then they will play again in August, which also includes the Bristol Motor Speedway game that'll be taking place there on the track. Interesting first month. Everybody knows the struggles of the Braves. They've been up and down, finished the month strong. Got obliterated over the weekend against the Dodgers to kind of remind me and everybody else that they're still a notch below the best, at least as currently constructed. And that's tough to live with. But, not many people are beating the Dodgers. Still early, still a ways to go. I think that this series will be a good series. These interesting pitching matchups, if nothing else. So,
I was going to say, I was going through the pitching matchups. Man, count me in.
Yeah, tonight it was A.J. Smith-Shawver and Brady Singer. I think as tomorrow, Grant Holmes.
It's Abbott versus Sale.
Abbott Sale, okay.
And Wednesday is Hunter Green and Holmes. And then Lodolo and Schwellenbach on Thursday to wrap up.
Oh, so this is a 4-game series. Okay.
Yeah.
For some reason, I was thinking this was 3 because that's the other thing. It's like even though they play less now because of the balanced schedule, they don't necessarily play the 4 games schedule or 4-game series anymore, which that used to be like for sure that there would be 3 trips, like 2 to 1 and 1 to the other, and one of the series was always a 4-game.
Yeah,
but. Now that they've restructured it, they tend to limit that to 3 and 3. So I'm glad that they're doing. They'll end up playing 7 games against one another.
Which pitching matchup are you most looking forward to? Including tonight's matchup, I guess, despite the result.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, tonight, just because I've just been wanting I'm wanting AJ Smith-Shawver to take that next step, and he's like kind of there. He's still young, but he's like showing what I want to see, and he's pitching well tonight. So for me, it's just if he can get going, and Sale is getting back on track. Swellenbach's been up and down and in and out. But we still think he's going to be good, and hopefully get Strider back and get away from the injury bug for the rest of the season. They'll be in a good spot, but the key is there's got to be somebody else that steps up with Ronaldo Lopez on the injured list for most of the season, and the loss of Max Fried, obviously. So, yeah, if AJ Smith-Shawver could take that next step and be consistent enough, if he can do what Schwellenbach did last year, where it's like he doesn't need to come in and be a world beater, just come in and keep them in games every fifth day. That's all I'm looking for. So, yeah. Tonight's matchup was probably the most important for me, just when you're talking about pitching matchups, just because I need him to do well. So
yeah, no, I get it. Honestly, probably tonight was probably the one, but it's unfortunately, I mean, it's like we had said, it's 4-0 right now, but it's anytime Hunter Green's on the bump, to me, it's a must watch. So I think that's a big one against Holmes as well.
That's the second most important one for me, because Holmes finally got a good start against the Dodgers over the weekend, striking out 9. So, yeah. I mean, I don't expect them to match Hunter Green pitch for pitch when you're talking about results and strikeouts and all that, but it should be a good matchup just from performance-wise. Like, hopefully, another tight pitcher's tool.
Yeah, and then, I mean, now you got, tomorrow's matchup. I mean, because right now you're looking like, okay, the Reds are going to drop this game here. Now you're down, 1-0 in the series. Now you got Andrew Abbott coming up here, okay, versus Chris Sale. That's, reigning Cy Young Award winner. I mean, now you've got, to get back on track, you don't want to go down 2-0. And if you do, thankfully you've got your ace on the mound for Wednesday's game, but you don't want to rely on that. You want to be the one, get off on the right foot, come back with a nice victory over Chris Sale, and then come back, with Hunter Green on Wednesday. I know you're thinking the complete opposite, which is pretty funny about it. It's like situation wise, we're completely flip flopped. But this is a big series for both teams. I mean, this is no joke, man. It's like the time is now for both of us.
It really is, because we talk about going through April and getting there, and the Braves finished just behind being 500, which is kind of that line where it's like, all right, if you can make through April and you're around 500, you're fine. Like everything will be okay as far as your playoff aspirations. You can go either way. It's when you come out of April either really far behind or really far ahead where you can start thinking in terms of, this puts us in a really good spot, for the rest of the season. And, we only have to play X amount of winning baseball the rest of the way. Or you're thinking, oh shit, we have such a giant hole. We have to play X amount of winning baseball to make the playoffs. So, but being at 500 gives you that, where it's just like, get through the first couple months around there and then go for it from there. A lot of the teams that we thought would be in those positions kind of are. I think for me, the biggest standout so far, it's a team that I picked, though, to win the division, and that's the Tigers. They're playing some incredible baseball right now. The Tigers are first in the American League and taking over first in the American League standings-wise over the weekend. They're in Colorado. They just got done destroying the Angels over the weekend, and they're just like, I mean, they're rocking on all cylinders. And the AJ Hinch has them. He plays different guys at different spots every day. They're getting really good pitching out of that young pitching staff. It's just like everybody else. If the Tigers can stay healthy, man, I like them in that division still to win, because the rest of the division's kind of, the Royals have struggled on offensive lot, though they've picked up things lately. Cleveland's still Cleveland, but they kind of are prone to colder spells. And I don't know what to think about the Twins.
I give up. I give up trying to figure them out. I mean, literally.
Yeah, I mean, they're a revolving door of injuries, and even when they're at full health, they struggle. So I don't know. And then the White Sox, the White Sox are. I will say this: we talked about it last week, and I have seen more things from the White Sox this season than I did last year. Seemed like last year it was there was nothing to see, so I didn't see anything. But the White Sox are showing promise this year. Like you can see where the future is heading. Like you can see the plan that they have, and the young guys that they have. They went from looking like just a completely inept, like had no business playing in the major leagues organization to, okay, this is a functional major league program, and the Rockies have stolen the title of the ones that we talked about last week that just look like they don't know. There's no plan, either now or in the future. It's just whatever, just a collection of guys. You look at the minor leagues, it doesn't look like there's a cohesive plan there. And I mean, and for the most part this season, they've been an automatic victory against teams. They had 6 wins on the whole season. Yeah. It's just been embarrassing. So I think those are the things that have kind of stood out for me, is that the White Sox have passed the baton as far as being the worst in the league for the time being, and Detroit playing just incredible baseball to start the season. What about you? What's kind of stood out for you along the way?
The Rockies being as bad as they are, that's definitely one. Like you were just talking with the White Sox, as bad as it was last year, they were the butt of all the jokes. At least, we made fun of them every damn episode we were doing. I mean, we were just ripping on them. Now it's, tag Colorado's it. And you had mentioned that you could see a plan with the White Sox, and you're starting to see, there's a vision there. Then I'm okay with getting my teeth kicked in if I can see that, the future and like what could be coming up.
Yes.
With Colorado, I mean, you want to talk about disheartening. That sucks. I mean, it sucks bad having to deal with that, game in and game out. I mean, just brutal. 6-28, you're already 17 games back of the Dodgers.
Oh,
I mean, you're 2-17 away from Coors Field. You're 4-11 at home. Like you're not even putting up a fight. I mean, literally not even putting up a damn fight.
Yeah.
It's just, it's unbelievable. And I think, between that and another situation that, I'm not going to sit there and say it's kind of surprising, but it is, but it's not, is the Pirates. The Pirates 12-23.
Yeah.
We had talked about how criminal it was for an organization to not, do anything in the offseason to help out Paul Skeens and Jared Jones and guys like that. And they're paying for it. And, enjoy it while you can, Pirates fans, because Paul Skeens ain't going to be there long. Once his contract, that dude's gone, man. I wouldn't want to stay there. It's not like.
Well, then we talked about how criminal it was that you have this excitement, you have this kind of momentum heading into this past offseason. It's like, all right, Skeens, and hey, unlike Colorado, hey, the Pirates kind of got a plan here. They've stockpiled all this pitching. They got these young guys. What are you going to do to make that next push? Sit on our hands all off season and just roll the same guys out there, and in some cases, lose a couple guys because there's always some type of attrition. And proceed to look like you have no idea. Mike chiming in saying that he heard the stat that the Rockies are on track to win their 20th game in September. I mean, that's just insane. That's insane to think. I mean, and the Pirates, once proud franchise, it had won all the things back in the 70s and even up to the early 90s, were a competent organization. I mean, there's people alive that have no idea that the Pirates have been anything other than terrible. The Rockies, I mean, they're not a beacon of success, but they've had, they made the World Series run. Everybody remembers Rocktober back in 2007. Like they've had successful franchises or successful years, and at least had, were respectable and had teams that challenged for the playoffs. So to see them just completely fall into this just wasteland abyss with no direction, no nothing, and it is coming on the heels of putting in Todd Helton into the Hall of Fame. Like that,
Yeah.
he is the picture of what they had accomplished, or at least the level of baseball that you expect to play. Like they've never been known for pitching and putting it all together, but the Rockies were a tough team to play. They had guys that, there was a reason, at least going into Colorado, you didn't want to play them. They'd have dominant home records. End of the year, their record generally looked like, 500 or whatever, but they stuck in. They weren't an easy out. There seemed to be a plan, and now it's just all gone. Like, I don't get it.
It baffles me. Like it just, it's stunning. Like just stunning to me. I don't get it, man.
Mike saying that Elian Skeens and Dodger Blue in a few years is going to make him puke. Let's not wish that into existence. All right. Like, I mean,
Skeens, I can see is a California kid. I can see that.
I could, but it's like, I was gonna say, it's like I don't want to think about that, but it's just as bad as seeing either one of them in pinstripes. Like,
I'll go Dodger Blue over the pinstripes.
It would suck so bad to see Paul Skeens in New York. Like I don't need that type of negativity in my life.
I don't either.
Don't ruin that glorious stash by putting it in pinstripes. I don't care what the facial hair policy is. Like you saw what they did to Devin Williams. They took my boy. They killed my boy. Don't do that to Paul Skeens. Don't do that to baseball fans, damn it.
I mean, he's worn blue and white before when he was with Air Force. He looked good in it. So, I'm just saying.
About how good he'll look. I just don't want to see it. I think another surprising thing of note, just like kind of going through and thinking about it is, and as we talked about teams that kind of disappointed in the offseason and haven't done with it, it's the Orioles. We talked about it last week.
Yeah, that was the other team. Yep.
Like, man, you guys, you got the world in your palm. Here's a franchise that has a plan. They've stockpiled all this talent. They're raring to go, and they cheap out on the moves. They get a new owner. Hey, we're gonna make moves. We're gonna spend money. It's a new era in Orioles baseball. Get ready. We're about to take flight. And failure to launch.
Exactly. Yep.
I mean, this season it feels like they've struggled. Big shocker when you don't you lose Corbin Burns, who has struggled himself this season. So who's to say? Like I'm sure there's some people saying within the walls at Orioles headquarters, like, well, it's good that we didn't spend that money on to keep Corbin Burns here, because look at how terrible he's doing out there in Arizona. Which, fair point. But you didn't spend the money on anyone. You didn't get points for losing an ace and not replacing him with anyone, and trying to shop in the bargain bin by signing Charlie Morton, who's now
it's not something to be proud of.
Who's now in the bullpen. Yeah, like avoiding a disaster contract and not signing one at all. Not signing any contract at all. That's not a bad, that's not something to brag about. But it feels like they're wasting the talent. Like if Colorado doesn't have a plan, and it's a shame that Pittsburgh isn't doing, it feels like all the talent in the Orioles organization is just being wasted. Like which is irritating, because just 2 years ago they had top 50 prospects coming out their ass. And now the shine is starting to wear off of the apple. These guys are getting hurt, or the Orioles are doing weird things with their service time, and they're not trusting them. I don't know what's going on there, but they've been a very big disappointment. And if I was an Orioles fan, I'd be upset with the way the first month has gone. I mean, I don't know, how you fix it without trading away a bunch of these guys now, because to get pitching, it doesn't come cheap. And it's much easier to do in the off season than it is to try to do in season. And teams right now are all struggling to, Reds have Petty come up. Why? Because their depth's gone. Like teams aren't looking to get rid of pitching in April, because they barely have enough guys to make starts.
Exactly.
So, and that's State's rolling out what they've got right now, and it's pretty embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean, that's hands down the biggest disappointment so far of the 2025 season. I mean, just from
expectations wise,
yeah. I mean, 100%. And what could have been, I mean, you're 13-20. You're 7 games under 500 in the AL East. I mean, you're only 5.5 games back. That's fine. But you're playing catch up now. I mean, and that is the worst part.
And one of the toughest divisions.
I was saying one of the toughest divisions, and you're already a month into the season. It's done. April's already done.
Yeah.
Now you're 5 days into May.
And there's nothing coming. I mean, the reports are bleak on Rodriguez as far as his rehab is going. He started his throwing program. He shut it down. They say they're hopeful that he'll be, this is Grayson I'm talking about, Rodriguez. They're hopeful that he'll be able to pitch before the end of the season. But all the words they're using suggest that at best he may be back in August when and then things are really too late if they keep playing.
I was going to say it's too late then.
Yeah, and it's just there's no hope in their rotation right now. It's just they're getting shelled, and rightfully so, because the guys that they have in there they're just not good enough.
They brought it upon themselves, and that is
and it didn't hurt or didn't help that Gunnar rather started the season off, on the shelf, and he's kind of rounding into form. Like they've struggled on offense. It certainly didn't help that right out of the gates, Colton Cowser went down with an injury that is keeping him on the show for another month. So he'll miss the first 2 months of the season. But you had replacements for those guys. The pitching, the writing was on the wall that they didn't do enough, that it was going to be a disaster, and that it was going to be at the best, cross your fingers and hope for the best. And it's been every bit as terrible as you would imagine it would be.
And we called him out on it, in the season preview.
Yeah, so that's frustrating. From that standpoint a lot too. Mike says that they spent too much money on those god-awful orange pants, that they deserve this for making all of us think that our TV colors off whenever they wear those unis.
Yeah. I think they're hideous. I can't do it.
It's a little much. When they showed them in the off season, I was like, hey, those look good. In application on the field, not great. Not great.
Yeah, execution's bad.
Little bit too much going on with the orange pants. The orange jerseys were good. I love the orange jerseys, but it turns out the orange pants, we can maybe dial that back a little bit.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Oh man. I'm trying to find out the process. Oh, I know you don't like this one. Just as far as another surprise, because I thought they'd be good, but not this great. The Cubs. The Cubs have really played really good baseball to start the season. And that's despite losing their ace. They lost their ace for the season. It goes down, and they've continued to play really good baseball. Pete Armstrong has had an incredible first month and just continues to defy odds at the bottom of their lineup. They don't trust him, and he doesn't take walks, so they don't have him at the top, but it hasn't prevented him from just killing the baseball for the first month. So the Cubs look good. Same thing with the Athletics and the Mariners. Those are two teams that we kind of poo-pooed the Mariners, or at least I did, for seeming like it's like
that was you. I didn't.
They still hadn't done enough on offense, and maybe they were going to fix it. Offense has come on. Looking really good to start the year. They've played well, and they've dealt with injuries too. And then the A's, hey, homeless, rudderless A's. They're playing good baseball there in Sacramento. They may be in front of just a few thousand fans each night, but on the field, it looks like everything that they've done to get those guys out there as early as they have been. In the case of a lot of them, we talk about Nick Kurtz. There
you go, Jimmy.
Obligatory pause.
Jimmy doesn't screw it up.
a whole lot of young guys, and they look good. We clowned them for having to spend the money on Severino and a couple of other free agents just to not get dinged by the Players Association for not spending enough money. But hey, it's doing wonders for him. So.
But you know what, though? In all fairness, we railed them pretty hard. But we gave them credit and said they have talent on that roster.
Sure.
So it's not like we completely, shut the door on them. I mean,
I think most of it was more directed towards ownership and the fact that they had let everything fall into disarray, to where it's like they're playing in a minor league stadium with with no city name attached to them.
And you know what? And that's rightfully so. They should get blasted for that.
Sure. But the team on the field,
is
the way they're playing, they look good. Good.
They've got the talent. So
anything else that stands out for you? Like I said, those are the things that just kind of like had popped in over the last month. Everybody knows the Dodgers are world beaten. No surprise there. I guess everybody else is kind of playing their parts. Yeah, the Giants have been a little surprising. Another team I know you don't like, but
it's kind of chalky the way it is.
They've played well. And funny enough, they're playing well despite bringing in what's his name, Willie Adames. Spending all that money on Willie Adames for him to struggle mightily so far. He is not the reason that the Giants have played well to start the year. But whenever he gets going, that's another ace in their back pocket. So I love the way that the things are shaping up out west. The Diamondbacks too have played really well despite Corbin Burns. That was their big thing, and everybody thought, hey, they're going to take off, but they're a really good team and have played like it so far. Mike says that dude will always be Nicholas Kurtz in my book. Just need to be safe. Well, there's a whole lot of people that need to be safe. Most of them are on broadcast. I refuse to be safe.
Yeah, we never have. Yeah.
Nick Hurts all the way.
I love it.
If you think I said the other thing, then you were listening too slow.
There you go. Exactly. Oh man.
Oh well, I think that's a good enough place to leave it off. I
was going to say, I do have a couple things real quick before we wrap it up. I was actually able to, and I was telling you about it. I sent you a couple videos that I'll post if you check out our socials.
Right. Yes.
When I got after work today, was able to shoot up and watch Carter Schaus. Many of you guys remember the interview Scott and I did with him. He was on the bump tonight for Bishop Fenwick, and they took on Chaminade Julian in a conference matchup. Chaminade's out of Dayton, and their starting pitcher Isaac Sullivan, who's committed to go to Dayton. So it was a nice matchup between two future Division I baseball players. It was really good. It was cool to see Carter shove on the mound. Same with Isaac, watching him as well, who actually he took Carter deep on a 2-run home run. Again, it was fun to watch, but so I got some some videos from that, but also I really want to touch real quick on the Cincinnati Bearcats, who have come on like absolute, on a barnstorming tour lately for Cincinnati and Bishop Ball, as many people would like to call it. UC has, they have really come, they've come on really, really hot lately in a push for the NCAA tournament. This is the month of May where it's dogpile season. It's dogpile month. Conference tournaments are going to be, happening here in the next couple weeks, with Selection Monday on Memorial Day, I believe is when it is. So the Cincinnati Bearcats just went on the road and swept a 3-game series at Kansas, who was ranked 25th in the country. Cincinnati, like I said, they went from being outside the bubble to being one of the last teams in. Last projection I saw had them in the Knoxville Regional again with Tennessee, who was one of the top teams in the country. I'm trying to think, Louisville and Austin Peay. So with that being said, also a huge shout out to Carrington Cross from the Bearcats, who on Saturday night set a school record with 3 home runs. He batted or knocked in 10 runs, 5 hits, and 14 total bases for Carrington Cross, who earned Player of the Week honors. Kid's an absolute stud. So if you guys want to see any video from that, make sure you check out JP Sponseller from the Road to Omaha podcast. We had him on a couple months back to look ahead at the college baseball season. JP was out there in Lawrence, Kansas for that. UC's got a big midweek game against Oral Roberts. I want to say it's tomorrow before heading on the road to TCU. So the Bearcats, continue to stay hot. So I just want to give the Bearcats a shout out. They've been fun as hell to watch lately. So big shout out to them. College baseball season's wrapping up. It's the best time of the year with the college season really shaking out like it has been. If you guys, again, I can't say it enough. If you guys get a chance, make sure you watch it. Check out ESPN Plus. That's where a lot of the games are. So you're not going to miss it. And anytime you get a chance to watch any of the ACC games or SEC, it's definitely can't miss. So that's all I got, my man. I just want to get that out there. But yeah, so.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that. I am going to share with you that as we wrap things up, AJ Smith-Shawver went 8 innings, 1 hit. Braves leading 4-0.
I know.
First game of the 4-game series.
Santiago Espinal got rid of the no-no, though, so you can suck on that one.
You son of a bitch. You said
damn right I did. Damn right. Santiago Espinal.
Well, that's going to do it for us here on Backwards K. We appreciate you guys joining us. You can find us here every Tuesday. Or wait, no, it's Monday. That's my other podcast. I don't know what day it is. We're here on Mondays most of the time, I promise. You can find us on Facebook, on Twitter, the Impact Sports Cincinnati Network, as well as the Craft Brewed Podcasting Network. Like I said, we're on YouTube and anywhere you can find your fine podcast. That's going to do it for us. For Chris, I am Scott. This has been Backwards K. We appreciate you guys joining us. We will catch you next week. Good night, everybody.